Hello friends, welcome back to the bench. Thank you very much for joining me. Our patient is a 93 Mazda B2200, not 2600. For essentially for a bench fee. So the customer just purchased the bench fee and sent it in, which is a great option if you're not sure if the ECM is the culprit, right? So you don't want to pay 200 bucks for me to just tell you that no, ECM is fine. Thank you for $200. I mean, it works for me, sure, but of course you don't want to spend money if you don't have to. So bench fee is a great option. So if I find something, then you know, then we're gonna use another listing to make up the difference. But if I don't find anything, then it's just bench fee, right? So what is the complaint? So this is for Billy. Order number, no spark, no fuel. So we have no injection and we have no spark. Now let's focus on injection, because as far as I understand on this one, the spark is controlled by the distributor, not by the ECM. But I could be wrong about that, because it kind of varies on these. But on 2600 we have just one, and actually this one, the board is exactly the same as 2600, like exactly the same. If you put them side by side, there's pretty much no difference. The harness is exactly the same. Power, ground, main relay, everything's the same. The position of the injectors, the pins for injectors, and everything. Everything is exactly the same. So I would think that if there's no spark, it's probably not an ECM issue. But first, let's take a look at it, because it looks like it was rebuilt some time ago. So we have the cap replaced, which is okay. Pretty nice soldering over here, nice flow. So also the board was cleaned from flux, so this is pretty good job. All right, this looks okay. Plenty of rewiring. All this looks good. There's a little bit, this is probably from the Q-tip, perhaps, when it was being cleaned. So no ultrasonic cleaning, but that's fine. That's even better, because you're just risking damage if you do ultrasonics. No further corrosion. The diode, this looks like flux left over, which is fine. This looks bad, but it's because there's no pad on this side. But as long as it's making its way to the other side of the board, it's fine. It's holding nicely. I like how the wires were positioned over here and shaped. Someone put a lot of time into it. It's not bad. This is not bad. Yeah, pretty precise. Yeah, this is essentially job well done, I would say. All good here, all good here. Let's see, do we have some corroded? This is fine. We could, oh, these are all good. All right. Well, this side probably won't have any problems. It never does. But let's just take a quick look for anything that we can spot. Harness looks good. Everything looks good over here. Okay. Now this cap has been replaced, and looks like it also leaked. Yeah, not the best replacement, but in this case, sometimes you have to do it this way. So we're not going to judge too hard, but we are going to judge that this cap is 100 mics instead of 47. So, I mean, if there was 47 on the board, why wouldn't you replace it with 47? Normally, or on average, that's not going to be an issue, but in some cases it could be, kind of depending on the device. Because larger cap means that that initial current that flows into the board is going to be slightly higher because larger cap it needs to charge. So in some cases, that could be interpreted as something wrong, right? Short or something, right? And now the difference of 50 mics maybe is not that huge. Definitely not for this device. This device is not as sophisticated to detect something like that. And this is just on the 12-volt rail, right? This is basically our input, right? So it doesn't really make any difference. But still, if it came with 47, I would replace it with 47. All right, let's turn it on, see what power it grabs, and see if we have any problems with controlling the injectors. So this one might look exactly like 2600, but you don't turn it on the same way. So normally you connect power to these two pins over here and ground to one of these two. There's 4 pins for ground over here, and that turns it on, right? So here, this is our power N, and this is our ignition switch, right? So we just bridge those two and connect 12 volts over here, and 2600 will start. But 2200 also requires 12 volts on this pin, and this pin is for the relays. And you can see it over here, right? I already bridged them, and it supplies this whole rail over here. So it supplies quite a few things, right? So this is where the power comes in. When you switch the ignition switch, right, supply 12 volts over here to this pin, this one, and that in turn turns on the relay, and the relay supplies this line, right? So in this case, to turn it on, we need to connect 3 wires instead of 2 wires. So that's a tiny difference between 2600 and 2200, same year. Okay, screen multimeter on. We are connected, and what we want to see. So number 1, we want to see 5 volts over here on this rail. These are our 2 pull-ups that go to our main transistors through this via and this via. And we want to see 0.7 on bases, and we want to see low on these vias for the transistors, right? And since there's completely no injection, we expect that either we shouldn't have either over here, right? So let's turn it on. We're consuming 230 milliamps, 2.7 watts. Beautiful. So we have correct power consumption, no shorts, no problems. MCU is on. So do we have 5 volts? We have beautiful 499.3. So it's a slightly lower, but it's perfectly fine. Now 2 injectors over here. We got low 0.03, and the other one we got low 0.03. Okay, the bases 700 millivolts, and the other base 700 millivolts, which is good. So the MCU is controlling injectors. It's turning them off. Let's check. So let's just make sure, but this never happens. These transistors never suffer any faults, but just to make sure, because control circuit might work perfectly fine, but the transistors themselves. So on this one we want to see 0.26, 0.25, it's fine, and on this one 0.26, very good. Collectors are open, emitters grounded, emitter grounded. So collector, emitter, no short, no short. So now from collectors to, because in some cases it's just physical damage to the board, and the signal is just not making it through from the ECM. We got connection, and on the other one, oh, what am I measuring? It's the wrong transistor. And we got the other one. So this is the bottom one, and this is the top one. Beautiful. Okay, so we have all the connections. We have proper control signal on the big transistors. No issues here. No corrosion, no broken traces, and the traces that were broken looks like they have been restored. But even if we found some broken trace or anything like that over here, it would not explain why there is no injection. So before I make a call, let me confirm. But I'm pretty sure I know that. But let me confirm that. Well, I was partially right, not fully, but let's check. So here's the issue. So since we can't see anything wrong with the injection, right? The ignition, well, technically yes, the coils are actually controlled by the distributor, but the distributor works with the ECM to do that. So it's not like the ECM is removed from this equation. And the transistor that is on the igniter is this one, right? So if there's anything wrong with this transistor, which almost never is, what do we have? 1.3, correct. 0.4, 0.5, correct. And that should be 0.8, 0.87, 0.88, yeah. So no issues here. Let's try collector emitter. We got one, yeah, and base emitter 0.6 and base collector 0.6. Transistor is fine. Let's see. Our two resistors over here, our little divider, we have a diode. Because if there is no connection to the base, then yeah, there would be no ignition. But that would not explain lack of injection. And actually, I'm pretty sure the track would still spark. It would just have weak spark. But don't quote me on that. So this is our here. We have connection over here, so it's good because it kind of looked bad, but its connection is here. So yeah. So so there's no issue on the trace. So the trace is okay. Transistor is okay. We know MCU is okay because it's pulling the injection transistors low. So my diagnosis, the problem here is not in the ECM. ECM, as far as I can tell, ECM is perfectly fine. And the very typical single point of failure on these tracks is the distributor. Because number one, if the distributor is not producing RPM signal, there's not going to be injection because the ECM can't see the engine turning. Number two signal that is required is essentially a crankshaft position signal, because the ECM needs to know when to open the injector, right? So the RPM signal alone is worthless. It needs to also have the sync signal. So if one of those signals is missing, the ECM is never going to fire injectors. For the ignition, again, the ignition is technically fired from the distributor, but it also works with the ECM. But if the distributor never initiates igniter, right? Or actually, the ECM initiates the igniter through that one output, and the distributor actually sparks. So I'm not sure which one's chicken, which one's egg, but essentially you need those two components. You need the igniter signal from the ECM, and you need the ignition signal from the distributor. So my conclusion is that the distributor needs to be replaced. It's actually relatively cheap device. I mean, some people ask me whether I can rebuild the distributor, and the answer is yes and no. I mean, if the bearings are worn, which causes the distributor to wobble essentially, which means those plates inside are kind of touching the sensors. In which case, no, there's no way I can do anything like that, because you would have to actually physically replace the bearings. It's not even worth it. It's just replace the distributor. But in some cases, you can replace the electro-optical devices inside, because essentially it works like the old printers and stuff, where you would have essentially like a big shield with perforations on it, and you have transducer that is around that shield, and whenever there's a window, then transducer changes its state. So that's how the distributor knows that we're moving, and that's how it produces these signals. So yeah, it's possible to rebuild it, but it's really not worth it. You can get a distributor for roughly $150 for this track. So that's probably what you need. Also, there is another possibility. So the distributor itself could be perfectly functioning, but it does require power. Now, typically when the distributor is unpowered, obviously it's not going to produce any signals, but I've seen cases where unpowered distributor is still producing spark. I don't know how, I don't know why, but I've seen it. So it was not producing the RPM signal, it was not producing the sync signal, but somehow the car was sparking. So no injection, but we had sparks. So again, I have no idea how's that even possible, but experts tell me that it is possible that the distributor will ignite without power. But I do believe you still need a igniter signal from the ECM. But again, I'm not certain about these. This is like a little more intricate engine diagnostic rather than the ECM diagnostic. So that's not quite my area of expertise, but in this case, it's definitely the distributor is at fault here. If not, if you replace the distributor and it still doesn't work, well, let me know, but I don't see anything wrong over here. My diagnosis is that it's not ECM. But we'll see. We're gonna ship it back today and listen for the feedback, and we'll see. Alrighty. Hope you guys found this useful. Thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you guys in the next one. Whoa.